A structure is another data type that can group the related data using field. Okay? Structure is just grouping the multiple variable as a one variable. Okay? Each field can contain any types of the data. Okay? The way of assigning the value and then reading the value are the same. That is, so this is syntax. For instance, A is the matrix, B is the cell array, and you can, Okay, for instance, C, A, you can store something. C, B, so you can store something, or the cell array, or what is it? You can store any data type and then data size to this cell array. If you want to read this value, you can simply use this syntax. Okay, your structure variable name and dot and then field name. Okay, that's easy, right? Okay, again, so let's do this. This means if you place this syntax in the left-hand side in the assignment statement, it is the assigning this row vector to this field. Okay. If you place in the, I would say B is like you're assigning this value to the B. So B become a, this is the reading the value. Okay. Does it make sense? Okay. Okay, let's see this drawing. Okay. A basic numeric array contains one single data type. Okay, for instance, a number is a characters or the logical value. So that's why the space for storing the data is identical, like this. Okay, there is identical space in the basic array. The way of the referring and reading the values can be done by using the row and then column index, right? We are going to reading this value, you need to use the like this, right? Okay. We are reading the value in the same way. Okay. On the other hand, the cell arrays contain the different types of the data in the cell. Each cell, that's why, has a different size like this. Okay. Sometimes it's if we store in the logical vector, logical value, we need a very small space, right? Logical vector contain 1 or 0, right? If you're storing the long array, we need to have a large space like this. Okay. Does it make sense? But still, it can be indexed, such as the numeric size of the cell it is. If you're reading this cell, we just simply do the like this, right? It doesn't matter of the size of the cell to access the corresponding cell using this syntax, right? That's why the cell arrays can be indexed. Okay, we can access the value, we can assign the value of the cell array using index. Okay, that's the key thing. Let's go back to the structure. Okay, structured data type. We can think that structured data types are not placed on this grid. So rather, each data has own name. That's the field. Okay. For instance, let's say I want to read this one. Okay. Structure array, I want to read this one in the cell array, we need to do like this. But in the structure array, to read this one, rather than using the index, we are using this name. So we need to do like this. Okay, that's the big difference. The structured data type, we need to know the field name. We need to read and write through the field name. But set array, you need to use this index. Okay, that's the biggest difference. Do you understand that? Let's see the example. Okay, this is the same data. Okay, the way of defining the structure variable is one way is that you can write the structure variable name and dot and field name. Okay, and store you can any types of any size of the data to this field. But what is this one? This one is the array. This means we can make the array of the structure. Okay, in the previous topic we make the array of the cell. This one is the same, array of the structure variable. Okay, so let's see this one. Okay, the previous case we are defining the cell 3 by 7, right? The first row of this cell array is indicating the Chalmers data, right? This is the same thing. In this structure array of the structure, the first value is contained all the information about the Chalmers. Second one is the regarding is the Norris information. So you can think of this structure array as a name card. Okay, one structure, the first value in the first structure value in this array is the Chalmers information. Second one is a Norris one. Third one is a blood one. Okay, makes sense. This one indicating those kind of the name card. It's like a grouping of the information, grouping of all the relevant information. Does it make sense? The other way is to define the structure array is like this. Okay, can start with the structure and then parenthesis and then field name data, field name data, field name data, field name data, like this. Does it make sense? Okay. You can initialize a structures array like this, but this is not a formal array. I usually use this variable without the use of this structure array without initializing, because a structure variable uses only the one dimension in general. The one dimension means is we are not using this array, or if you use, although we are using this array, we are dealing with a very small dimension. Okay? Okay. This is just an optional. Okay. But in the structure array, you just understand this syntax, right? We don't have an example of using this structure array to solve the problem. Okay, even in the tutorial. So my point is you just understand how it works and why we use this structure variable. That's the important part. Okay, and also what is the difference from the set array? Okay. Okay, so here, we store all this value in this structure array. So what is the Chalmers ID? That is a student info, first one, and ID. That is the Chalmers ID. Okay. What about the Chalmers second homework grade? That is structure info first, the exam homework grade, homework, this one, right? First one. like this. Does it make sense? Okay. Let's see how to process data in the structured variable. Okay. We already did solve the similar problem before, right? We set the iterator from the 1 to here's the number of students is like a number of a row, the size of this structure array, and then iterate II is 1 2 number of students and number of row, and then is the read the value, read the name, and then if in the same way the Chalmin, and then we are going to assign his ID to the test ID. Okay? Do you understand this logic? So logic is exactly the same. The only difference is how to read the value. Okay? This is the how to read the value. These are the same. Okay? Okay, so these are the important part. Okay? These are from the previous slide. These aren't the cell array. They're using the cell. These are the structure variable. Okay? You only understand that there's different. Okay? Let's assume that this script is written by your friend, and then you're reviewing this two script. Okay? So which one is more readable? First one is this one, and second one is this one. Option 1, option 2. Which one is more readable? Of course, these are the much more readable, option 2. Why? Take a look at this code. If you see this one, you readily know that, oh, you're going to compare the name, all the name with the Chalmin, right? And then if you see this line, oh, once you find the II, so you're going to read the ID value and assign here. Okay. If you introduce the structure variable, this field name itself is sufficiently explain the meaning of the value inside. It's like we are normally using numeric variable name. So that's why this code is much more readable. Okay, but you know, it's a cell array. If you see this one, okay, you have no idea about the class info. Okay, then if you see this script, you don't know what is this part, what is the 1, what is the 3, right? Although you're looking at the original data file, although your original this class info data, right? Without any making the comment, explain what is the 3, what is the 1, you don't know, right? It's not readable code. Does it make sense? Okay. So, can we say the option 2 is better than the option 1? I don't think so, right? Because I hardly used this structure variable. Okay, why? So there's a drawback. So think about it. You're writing this script rather than this one. It is very cumbersome to write this long variable name. Okay. So defining this variable is not easy. You know, every time you write down this field name in the programming parts, rather than using this index value, you need to every time you need to put this field name at the end, right? Because we are dealing with a very simple structure variable in this example, so that's why it doesn't look bad. But you're dealing with a large size structure array. Writing code is very time consuming. Okay, So my rule of thumb is if I show my code to the many people, many students, and then to other colleagues, I try to use this structure variable. But if not, I keep using this set array because I know what is a 3 and 1, right? Okay. Does it make sense? That's why at this point I'm not going to solve the example using this structure array. Your first goal, the first goal from this course is you're going to write your script. Okay. That's why I recommend using this set array rather than the field. Okay. Structure array. Make sense? This slide explains the difference between the cell and the structure array. I already mentioned the previous slide. The structure array is not indexed. This means we cannot access the value using the row and column index. Okay, but we can put the mnemonic variable name in the structure array. Your script is more clear and then readable. Okay, can you see the difference between them? Okay, good. Before I close these lectures, I will show another usage of the structure variable. Okay, as mentioned earlier, structure variable is to group or bind the many variable as a one structure variable, one group. It's like a grouping. Okay, here's the situation where the structure variable is useful. Suppose that you're making a function named the compute grade to compute the student grade. Okay, using the student's record during the term. Okay, there are 10 records. For instance, midterm grade, a homework grade, and then some kind of tax evaluation, good, bad, or the outstanding or something like that. So those are variables that mix them together and then store the individual variable R1, R2, R2, 10. Okay. That's why this compute grade function accepts the 10 input. Okay. Do you understand this situation? Okay. How to design your function? Okay. One way is you can list all this 10 variable in a function header, like this. But in this case, your variable name is a short R1. But if your variable name is a long, is a final, exam, first, or whatever, if you place in this 10 variable in the function header, it's very messy and not readable. Okay? Do you understand the situation? Okay? Why these are the messy? Think about you can place a 10 variable in your input in this function. Okay? In this case, you can use a structure variable. Structure variable is simply grouping your input variable. So like this one. Okay. You are putting in this script part. Okay. Rather than passing all the 10 value, you store this value to your record structure variable. So record.r1, and then you are assigning r1 value here, like a 10 value. You're passing on this record structure variable. And then inside of your function, you unwrap this structure variable and assign to the individual variable like this. Okay. Then your function header become very simple, like this. Okay. So I think at this point you're developing the very simple function. You're looking at the very simple example, but this is a very common practice when you pass the many different input. Okay. Good. To sum up with this lecture, so you need to know how to use the cell variable. Okay. You only need to know how to use the cell variable, not the structure variable. You just understand how it works, how the structure variable working. That's enough. But you have to know how to use the cell array, how to access the value, and how to assign the value to the cell array. That's very important. Okay? Because the many problem in quiz 4 used this cell structure, cell type. That's why you have to know how to use the cell array. Okay? Okay, see you in the last lectures of the Module 11 in this course. Bye.